Yeah, Woody, there is a portion of Bob Chapman's latest international forecaster dated February 23rd that I really want to read to you. It's got me quite concerned. I want to get your take on it. He writes, quote, "Sources at the United States Embassy in Beijing, China have just confirmed to me that the United States of America has tendered to China a written agreement which grants to the People's Republic of China an option to exercise eminent domain within the United States as collateral for China's continued purchase of U.S. Treasury notes and existing U.S. currency reserves. The written agreement was brought to Beijing by Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and was formalized and agreed upon during her recent trip to China. I am endeavoring to obtain images or copies of the actual document, but in the interim, several different sources, both inside the United States and in China, have confirmed this to me." What do you make of that, Woody?
This is kind of a newer version of something that was making the rounds about 6 months or so ago.
Yep.
When Hillary Clinton and Mr. Geithner went to China and they were begging them to keep borrowing Treasury bills, and that the Chinese were the ones that actually asked for, Nebraska or something as collateral for lending any more money, that we refused, and that was the nature of how quantitative easing started. If there is a document where an officer of the United States has basically made this extra constitutional pledge to pledge the value of land or actual ownership of land in the U.S. to a foreign country, I don't even know how you can count the ways that would be treason on many, many different levels.
That's Bob's take. He says it's an unimaginable betrayal of every man, woman, and child in the United States, an outrage worthy of violent overthrow, if true.
I think, if Hillary Clinton pledged Nebraska corn land, she better never drive through Nebraska again, because I think if she did, the Nebraskans would learn to walk like an Egyptian, and that would not be a very good situation for her. But the situation of the Treasury has got to be so desperate. I mean, when you're a government and you are relying on the $100 billion a month of money printing from the Fed in order to be able to continue to operate and to, in effect, die another day, that's a very desperate kind of circumstance. And I've used the phrase currency extinction event to describe, where the dollar is at and possibly the euro in this kind of circumstance. So they don't tell the truth because they can't tell the truth. And I always like to say the best quote of the last century came from Henry Ford, who said if the American people really understood the way the monetary system worked, there would be revolution by morning.
Yeah.
And I think that is the fear of all of these people. Desperate people do desperate things. There's a part of me that wants to be shocked and thinks that's beyond the realm of possibilities. But I think given the circumstance, necessity is going to be the mother of lots of bad inventions.
I know it. When I was growing up, when I was in high school, and I was trying to wrap my arms around how such despicable things on this planet can take place on a daily basis, like little children living in the streets without parents all over the planet. I never got it, Woody. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how it was possible. I thought humanity was too good, and it should be too good to allow that to happen. And now I do get it. And every time I see a starving child in Africa, I see a frickin' bankster, man. The elite financial press and the elite in general like to pass off gold as a barbarous relic. Meanwhile, we see Tunisia's president, Ben Ali, flee with 24% of the nation's gold supply. I mean, gold and silver are money, period.
I think at the end of the day, if you see someone saying that gold is a barbaric relic, or it doesn't really have investment value, or it's in a bubble and it's going to crash Monday, the thing that all these people have in common is they've been wrong about gold since $275 an ounce just after September 11th. They've been wrong about silver since probably $4 or $5 an ounce. And all I can say is, as somebody who's worked in markets for 32 years, if I was that wrong about a big asset class and I was that wrong for that long, I would not be a very happy camper either. So I think people who have missed out to this point have no reason to credit people who have been right all along. And the one thing that I always say that I've observed in 32 years of markets is the people who called the bottom are the most likely to ones to call the top. When I start to hear people like a Robert Kaufman or Eric Sprotter or Mike Maloney, when those voices start to say it's time to sell and it's time to get out, these are the people who have been right all along. maybe nobody more right than Peter Schiff, because he made calls beyond gold. I mean, he got the housing right, the subprime right. I think those voices who were paying attention to the right things are the ones that we have to continue to hope they're bullish. And I can't think of anybody who was right at the bottom, excuse me, about metals, who is saying it's time to sell or we're not going much higher. I think we have to go dramatically higher just to sop up all the counterfeiting that Mr. Bernanke and his pirates have done so far. We need to have dramatically higher numbers. And again, then you get into silver, there's this industrial and electronic element where you have something like a gram of silver in every smartphone and every laptop and every electronic device or big screen TV. Mm-hmm. You know, the world is running out of that. And by my math, we need to be about $103 an ounce just to get to the point where it's going to make sense to start to recycle the old electronics to get those grams of silver out of them that are sitting in landfills. So I think anybody who thinks that, you know, we're at the top of the bull markets, I would say think of this like a baseball game. There's a possibility we're at the top of the third inning, but my money is still that we're maybe in the bottom of the second inning. There is a long, long way to go. And the possibility of extra innings, it's not inconceivable that this could go on for 10 more years.
Let me ask you before I let you go, I know we're running short on time here, Woody, but I wanted to ask you what your position is on what is largely perceived, and I think correctly so, as being 100-to-1 paper manipulation of both physical gold and physical silver. Have you been following any of the work of GATA or Adrian Douglas specifically?
I have, and I'm very familiar with everything down to the car accident that Andrew Maguire had after he blew the whistle on that. And I would just say as simply as this. If you own the physical bullion funds of Mr. Sprott, your bullion exists. Yeah. If you own the physical bullion funds of the
SLV?
I was going to say the Canadian people, CEF.
Yeah.
GTU, and I can't remember what the symbol for their silver one is. Those people have been out in Calgary for 40 years warehousing gold and silver.
Okay, so you're saying those are all the real deal. So PSLV, Sprott Fund, and these others, CEF.
I have a high degree of confidence that every ounce they claim they have, they actually do. However, any other instrument of bullion holding, I would tell you, if you do not have the bullion in your hand, you probably do not have it. And since most of those others are selling at a premium to what they're claiming is the net asset value, if I owned one of those, you know, if somebody died and left me one, I would sell it immediately and convert it into real bars, because aside from those ETF exceptions, if it's not in your hand, you don't own it. And the truth is, the people need to realize having it in your hand isn't just going to be an inconvenience or investment need. If there's a collapse where you're going to need that metal for barter, you're not going to want it, you know, even in Mr. Sprott's excellent ETF. And I think that's the real thing. And I want to close by saying I actually have a list of 100 things that disappear in the event of an economic collapse. And anybody who would like to just shoot me an email that just has the title list, if they just email me, Woody at abolishfiatslavery.com. That's WOODY at abolishfiatslavery.com. I'd be more than happy to send them this list of 100 things that they ought to start to think about stockpiling now. And it certainly includes gold and silver, because none of us are prepared enough for this collapse that's coming. And somebody who's been at this for a long time, a gentleman by the name of Michael Rupert, has the greatest analogy that he says that people have to think about economic collapse like a bear attacking a campsite.
I know this, yeah.
You don't need to be faster than the bear. You just need to be faster than the slowest camper. Anything that you do to start to prepare, even if you're the crazy guy in the neighborhood that has 10,000 rolls of toilet paper because he thinks he'll be able to barter that, you only have to be prepared more than the next person in order to survive what it is that's coming. If you're 30% prepared, you're going to be a survivor. If you're 0% prepared and you're focused on football and American Idol, you're going to be involuntarily losing a lot of weight and possibly perishing.
Well said, Woody. All right, so people can email you for that free list at woody@abolishfiatslavery.com. Okay, well, Woody O'Brien, we really appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us. Can we talk again in the future?
Absolutely. I love to do these, and I very much enjoy getting feedback and reading the comments that people leave on YouTube. Anytime that you need me, just get a hold of me in the future. I'll be happy to talk to you again.
Okay, Woody, will do. We sure appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
As always, guys, thanks for watching. Good night.